Yes. What, are you giving me thumbs?
Keep going. Some connectivity issues, but keep going. You're right.
All right. Is there Wi-Fi in the booth?
Guess we'll find out.
All right. Well, all right. We are going to have another in our series of experts chats here at CES. I'm joined here with three experts from IBM and a partner of ours, Local Motors. So why don't you introduce yourselves?
Well, I'm Ben Stanley. I'm the research lead for a group called the Institute for Business Value at IBM. It's a think tank in our company that looks at the future of automotive.
Hey folks, I'm Jay Rogers. I'm the co-founder of Local Motors, and we're just so excited to be here at CES with this collaboration. It's awesome.
Hi everyone, I'm Sachin Lulla with IBM. I lead our automotive strategy globally, and excited to be here sitting inside the Accessible Ollie.
And we're all excited to share our insights about what we've learned at the show, so you can see what we're seeing from the show floor.
Yeah, so just to clue everyone in, we are sitting in the Accessible Ollie vehicle here in the Las Vegas Convention Center in the Grand Lobby. Lots of cool technology, lots of contributors have made this happen. It's the debut of this vehicle. And we're going to talk about 3 C's here today. We're going to talk about cognitive technology, we're going to talk about co-creation and partnerships, and we're going to talk about what customers care about. So first, I think we should talk about this co-creation effort that the project is all about.
All right, starting with me first, that's fine, I guess. So, you know, before I talk about co-creation, I just want to put Accessible Ollie into context for people that aren't familiar. You know, what we are showcasing at CES jointly with our partner Local Motors as well as CPA Foundation and 15 other partners that have been working all year to bring this mobility solution to the marketplace. It's really a living lab, as we call it, of what an accessible mobility autonomous shuttle looks like for people with any sort of disability. And even, you know, people that are aged, disability is a huge issue. 1 billion people in the world have some form of disability. 10,000 people or more per day turn 65 or older just in North America. And today, as we know, getting from point A to point B is not a great experience. It's not easy. So what we've done in the spirit of co-creation with our partner Local Motors and really developed Ollie, the autonomous self-driving 3D printed electric vehicle, is co-created an accessible experience around mobility with 15 other partners. And I think, you know, co-creation is the future, and, you know, we've really taken this concept and applied it internally to IBM and how we go to market with our capabilities with other customers, our OEMs and Tier 1 suppliers. Make sense?
Jay, why don't you touch on the crowdsourcing effort behind this project?
So, I mean, when we started Local Motors, it was built as a community-based business, and we don't own a community, we steward a community, and so, but we grow with that community in every endeavor that we take on, and so humanizing products are the best way to know what the world wants. You know, I have often heard and parroted this adage that ignore the world when you make your product, and the world will ignore your product. And so when we think about crowdsourcing or co-creation, being able to try on minimum viable features, if you will, and being able to see what people's responses to it with a really dedicated focus is what this is about. So Accessible Ollie is a project. It's not a product, it's got a bunch of products in it. And we're learning how the world thinks about humanizing accessibility. And it's a really good playground. I mean, it's obvious we're here at CES. It's obvious why, because there's so much technology in this vehicle. And that is all applied toward this directive of Accessible Ollie. The community that we can see here, hashtag Accessible Ollie is the simple way to follow it basically on Twitter, and then you can go on board at the launchforth.io platform to be able to join Accessible Ollie. There are many different ways in which you can join the community, but the result of what we're sitting in right now is the result of that co-creation effort. It's people who would ride it, you know, kind of the user. It's suppliers who would supply things to it. it's regulators who've come through this ollie today to sit around and say, what's this going to mean for my ecosystem, my city, my country, my spectrum, you know, from a communications perspective? What's a vehicle with this much technology going to mean to me? And they get a chance to be able to contribute to that. So that's what co-creation or crowdsourcing means to me in the development of accessible ollie.
You know, and if I could just build on that a little bit, one of our studies, so I work in the theoretical part of the world, and one of our studies was around how people want to, what the relationship people want to have with cars in the future. And one of the big things was co-creation. You know, they said we want to be involved in co-creation, not only from a product perspective, but also from a services perspective, from a marketing perspective. We'd like to help you develop your marketing messages, and even from a sales perspective. You know, your biggest seller is the person who just used your product and now tells other people about it. So co-creation is not only from a company perspective, and we want people to help us, but we also have data from around the world that says, hey, we want to be involved. We want to have a voice in how future products and services are developed, especially around mobility where it's affecting how I move around.
I mean, I'll share on that and build on the subject here that a lot of people look at autonomous mobility and they say, there's no way that's going to show up in my hometown or over my dead body or that's super cool. Those are opinions. But what I think is interesting is mobilizing that opinion out of a smart device. So when you get people that are calling for a vehicle, which we all do on Uber, Lyft, Didi, Ola, Get, whatever ride-sharing system you have an opportunity to start interacting with the vehicle before it arrives with you. Well, that's part of a cognitive cloud. Now suddenly you're taking someone with a social graph and other things like that, and you're saying, hey, you need mobility for a specific purpose. But what, when they're in it, else could you learn from them? And what could you do to mobilize opinion around that? What you see around you here is an opportunity to be able to inform people, take information back from them. Maybe they sign a petition while they're in the vehicle, and they literally offboard that petition to a legislator while they're on the vehicle. Now it's real-time creation of opinion and then activated opinion to a legislator from a unit that you're driving in. I mean, it's small potatoes, but what I've seen today for even people that can't even hear is they can take advantage of that and they can activate an opinion out of a smart device like this to literally change legislative agendas right away. And I think for you all who are listening, the thing you should know is whether you think or not think that autonomous mobility is going to be part of your social graph, it is, and you're going to be sampled as part of it, and so you get an opportunity to have an opinion. And so that's right out of the device.
I think building on that, we had a guest here in the booth today from state government, and I won't mention the state, but they came in, and within 15 minutes they were saying, how do you get Ollie in our state, basically. They want it. Very excited about it. So when they looked at the implications for the aging population in communities, you know, that last mile sort of notion in some communities, whether it's a hospital system or elder care community, neighborhood sort of setting, he said, you know, they're already addressing that legislative roadblock that they've had, and things are changing rapidly. So the other thing is, I wanted to touch on technology a bit. I want to talk about the cognitive technology that is in this vehicle, and Ben, I think you have a study specifically focused on cognitive in the automotive industry.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're moving. One of the things that's very obvious at the show here, and we've known for some time, is things are getting smarter. But smart's not good enough. Having something that knows everything is good, but people want more. They want this intuitive, interactive, personalized relationship with a product. And that's what we talk about when we talk about cognitive. We talk about things like artificial intelligence, natural language, being able to speak to something, being able to predict and analyze who you're dealing with. And so we did a study around that, looking at how cognitive is going to impact the auto industry. And we surveyed or interviewed 500 executives around the world and said, what do you think about this? Because we've been talking about it for some time, but we haven't seen, except for certain cases like our partnership here and some others, people have been doing things, but we really just didn't feel that there was this big push. So we wanted to ask the industry, and I'm talking specifically about the auto industry because they're the ones that develop much of these products. Where are we at with that? Is the technology ready? Is your organization ready? And we were quite surprised with the answers. Over 2/3 of the executives around the world that we talked to said, yes, the technology is mature and market ready. Yes, our organization is ready. Yes, we're going to invest significantly in the next 3 years, and we're expecting a very big return on investment, over 20%. So they feel that the time is now, and we're talking about this cognitive era of automotive, where they're really starting to see the technology is there, they're ready, they've got their organization ready. It's going to require new skills and new capabilities to use these types of things. But we see this push over the next 3 years to really move fast in this with this type of technology.
So I think that's a perfect segue to, we have a good, IBM has a great grasp on what executives are thinking. I think, Jay, you made a great point earlier. Let's talk about what the customers are thinking. What do they want? So why don't you explore that next?
Well, so I'll tie it into the subject of cognition a little bit, because I want to sort of push that forward and transition maybe into a customer voice. First of all, customers for these devices, these are market leading, they're expensive devices, and as you can see, these aren't really built for individuals. These are enterprise solutions. So a customer is different than a user necessarily. And I think one of the things that we need to think about is this is not a boring bus. This is a cognitive experience that holds a lot of technology in it. So in case anybody thought that what's going on in the vehicle or who it's holding is the only game in town, it's not. This vehicle is way more censored than a human is. So it can hear outside the vehicle. It can watch much further than a human eye can watch outside the vehicle. It can distinguish whether somebody is of a different gender, of a different race, whether they are a child, age-wise, outside the vehicle. It can display messages not only to get those people to react around a self-driving vehicle, but it can also display messages to get those people to vote a different way. It can display messages to do a lot of things outside the vehicle. So cognition is not just about affecting the people inside the vehicle, it's about affecting people outside the vehicle. And I think when we talk about what that means is it means that you're getting a lot more out of these things that are rolling around on the blacktop. And so, and we should be. It's time that the commute was not a dead space of productivity. And I think the auto companies are saying that too. It's like we want more of the share of productivity. We're not just here to get you from point A to point B. We'd like to learn more about you. We'd like to learn more about what's going on around you on the street sides and that kind of thing. So customers are these people who are saying, okay, if I'm going to put this in my city, is it going to make me safer? Or if I'm going to put it on my campus or I'm going to put it on my roads, is it going to make me safer? Is it going to get more out of my tax dollars? And is it going to make people feel happier? You know, is it going to relieve some of the intellectual and physical congestion that's out there? The customers are asking that right now. And so the answer is yes, for sure. But what stands in the way in many cases, sadly, is belief by users that this can happen, because users make the laws. And so users need to talk to their regulators and say, I want things to be more intelligent. I want it to be more cognitive. I want it to be more delightful. I want it to be safer. I want my children not to have to worry about drunk driving. I want all these things. You may not be buying it, but you are influencing the customers who do buy it. I think the other thing I'd like to talk about is we've often just said, I'll let public transportation be worried about by transit operators. So today they're transit companies that really are more staffing companies. They are training drivers and they're making sure that they get paid on time and that they don't, have too much work before they sleep and other things like that, because the human is a precious commodity as a driver. But these new customer sets are saying, hey, the human's not driving, so now I need this vehicle to be safe. Yes, but I need it to do other things. And so the transit operators are changing the way they think about what they do. And they're customers. And so they want a vehicle that can do more. They want to market what they can do for a city more. And so understanding this customer and how they make the oil of, or how they oil this gear of transportation is what we're doing here. and we're giving them a voice, we're giving them a better product to address their users, and public transportation isn't boring anymore. In fact, it can be super, it can be fill in a lot of holes where you're productive in your office and efficient, and you're connected and you're social, and then you're productive at your home and you're social, but in the car you're not supposed to touch your device and you're supposed to just focus on the road and get from one place to the next. Not anymore. And so, you know, we've seen on the plane that you can now be connected because sadly there's Wi-Fi on the plane, so you can get more work done. In your commute, that's just happening, and it is something. But it's got so much more to offer the world, and our customers are asking for that, and that's what this can do.
That's great. So I think we should think about some closing thoughts. So CES is such a massive confab of people that are looking for, I think, what's cutting edge now, what is the possibility of what's coming next, and I'd love to know from each of you sort of what are you most interested in learning about yourself here at the show this week.
Learn about myself.
Not about yourself, but
self-realization.
Yeah. You may learn about yourself, but more so, you know, what's in it for you?
Well, for me personally, I look for the advancements that I think about in the future. You know, that IBM thinks about in the future is how are things moving along. And what's really interesting, along with what Jay said, is, you know, we believe in the future that the differentiation in the vehicle will be the in-vehicle experience versus the physical use of the vehicle in terms of your driving or something like that. It's going to move to that. And then, again, to the point of how does that integrate into my life? And what I'm really looking for here is how is the movement around, as I'm moving around, how is that integrating into my home, my life, and how does it turn from being a distraction and I have to stop everything I'm doing when I'm going somewhere to be an extension of what I'm doing, and I can continue my life as I'm moving from one point to another. And so this integration between home, life, work, you know, where's that going? And I think we're going to have a portfolio of devices. The vehicle will be one of those devices, whether I own it or not. And I'll expect every vehicle to personalize to me. I'll expect it to be able to do the things that I want it to do, bring in the things that I want it to have. I'll opt into those things or not, but I'll have choice. And regardless of which one it is, I'll expect those things. So that's what I look for, is where are we moving in that direction.
Cool. And the time is now, right? I mean, I feel like it's here.
We're starting, yes.
So for me, you know, two quotes stand out in my mind. The future is here. It's just not evenly distributed. So that's one. And then the other one is that revolutions are quiet. And so let's think about some quiet revolutions. In 1907, the city of New York was predicting cataclysmic amounts of manure as a result of the number of horses that would be necessary to sustain the growth in the city. Shortly after that, there was no cataclysmic amount of manure because the auto cycle and the Model T took over. And there's a great picture, Fifth Avenue, which is all horses 2 years before, and then it's all auto cycles 2 years after. That's a quiet revolution. We had a quiet revolution with the introduction of Uber, where it was suddenly like, yeah, I know what a taxi is, and then like a year later, I'm in a rideshare, and there's a new verb that's associated with it. Right now, at this CES, there is a quiet revolution going on. The future is here, and it is not evenly distributed, but what's around the halls of CES right now is all of the technology that is transforming the lives of customers that will see these vehicles this year in 2018. And not all of it will be useful, and some of it will be super useful. But it's here, it's now, in different areas. And when I say not evenly distributed, in an Ollie that we make, we will only distribute them to 50 locations. And in the other companies that make these kinds of vehicles, there'll be a couple hundred units that are out. They will change lives for the places where they are. And they'll use the technology that's around us at CES, and you're going to see amazing stuff show up in the vehicle that's going to blow your mind. And a year later, we'll make it different, and you can enjoy it. So the future is here. It's not evenly distributed, and the revolution, though quiet, is all around us at CES. I predict 2 years from now, it will be a thing of the past to think about a self-driving vehicle. It'll just be known. And so the question is, where will you be able to have it? And then what else will you add to it and make sure life is smarter, better? Those things are coming fast.
you got me started on quotes. So the one that comes to mind about coming to CES is Babe Ruth's quote around yesterday's home runs don't win today's games. Right? So for me, it's a lot about stretching the boundaries of what's possible, and really applying that to our industry, to everything IBM brings to the marketplace. So it's just a fascinating show to be around every year, and again, look forward to the quiet revolution.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sachin, thank you. Jay, Ben. My name's Ryan Boyles. We're going to be back here live again each evening at CES right here in the Ollie vehicle tomorrow with a new batch of experts. Please join us again at 6:15 Eastern, or Pacific actually. And we'll see you on Wednesday. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.